Hey everyone, here's a long form video, just me working. I'll try and be loud and descriptive as I'm doing it, but we're going to be adding baking support to the Yeen world. In a recent update, Fruix added skin mesh baking. Skin mesh baking condenses all meshes that are skin meshes down into one mesh. Greatly improves performance for an avatar, reduces the file size a bit as well, and it allows for automatic cleanup as well. The first step I've done is I've moved all the meshes from the Yeen avatar into a slot called meshes. We'll be using that to bake from. So everything in here is still functional because it runs via references, but it's now within this mesh slot. I can actually just turn off the entire avatar visual by turning that slot off. If you've been here before, you'll notice this finalize button. I added this finalize button to delete the slots that were turned off. This baking process kind of supersedes that, so we need to pull apart the finalize button. The finalize is brought over from the build and energy world. That needs finalization because it gets very laggy there. I haven't looked at the finalizer in quite some time, so it's possible it's using some old concepts here. Yeah, I see I was like looping a bunch and setting non-persistence. Persistence controls whether something will be saved when you save it or not. So if I were to turn off persistence here on the finalizer and save the world, then it would not save the finalizer button in the world. If you open a world inspector and you hop to the root, then you'll see all the way to the root. You'll see here that there is me, and I am non-persistent, and that's what prevents me from being saved to the world when I save the world. The undo manager, which stores the steps for the undo, is also there, as is holder, which holds usually temporary assets. You also might see some temporary assets in the asset folder. The asset folder's a mess. Don't go in there unless you need to. Okay, so to fix this, I'm just going to go ahead and be merciful and kill whatever the hell this Logix did. I don't really even know. So instead, all we need to do is grab Logix. As this is a behind the scenes stroke technical video, I'm going to use my tools. Blue is Logix, red is Inspector. The button is a regular Neos button. Yep, it's a regular Neos button. So we'll pull out the Neos button. Oh no, that's the slot. We need to pull out the Neos button here. Pull out the Neos button. It's big because I believe the button is big. Yeah, it's 1.6 scale. I don't know why. Maybe I can fix that too. I won't need the root anymore. Now we're going to use a I forget where this is. There it is, button events. Where possible, always try and use button events. It is more efficient than a fire on true setup. So there we go. This gives us a impulse when pressed and a impulse when released. So if I do both of these, you'll see that when I push the button, we get 2. If I push but don't release it, oh, interesting. Can you not hold Neos buttons? Maybe that's a setting. Flash index. I can't see it. So on the touchable, you can hold them down, and that's why there'd be a difference between pressed and released. We're going to use pressed for this. We don't need to worry about release or delete that. The first thing I do when I'm working with something destructive like this, it's a destructive workflow for me because I want to keep all the meshes in place so that the avatar setup still functions. But for you, when you save the avatar, I want it to be destructive. I want it to bake those meshes so that it's optimized. So the first thing I'd always do is I drop in an if. And the reason why I drop in an if is because I want to set up this flow so that it doesn't work until it needs to work. Which is when I've tested it and I basically save the world. I turn this flow on so that it can go through. I do the finalize, and then if it works, I close the world and then reload a save. Underneath here, a little known fact here is a checkbox. This checkbox is going to drive that if. I'm going to move it lower because people could accidentally trigger that one. Here's the checkbox. And then here what we're going to do is check if it's checked. And I'm going to uncheck it now for safety. I'm going to bring the checkbox up. This is me being a bit paranoid, but it helps me not corrupt my world, basically. If I want to make an edit, I will go under there and uncheck that box before I go near this button. So here we are, is checked, goes up to here, and then we check is checked, and it's false. And because I'm paranoid, and I don't want to redo any of this work, I make this say false, and I'd leave it there whilst I'm working. I'll clean it up when I'm done. This ensures that I don't accidentally bake the meshes whilst I'm working. So I'm going to close... No, I'm not going to close that one because we need a place to store the Logix. So you have to store Logix in an object. Tutorial on this soon, but for now I just may create a new child, button child, rename it to Logix. Set the packing route, and now we're ready. I'm going to pull out a node. I haven't used the node before, but we'll figure out how to do it together. So assets, bake meshes. We plonk that here. We attach it to the true, and only the true here. It says false there, satisfyingly. And it needs a slot reference, and then it says skinned mesh mode. That needs to be true. Include inactive, we want that to be false. Looks like it might default to false. I touched that as it came out. I'm just going to set that to false because I'm paranoid. Undoable. Destroy original. You know, let's say undoable is true, and then that way we can undo it if we mess up. And then destroy original, I guess we'll leave that as default. So now it just needs a slot reference. To get that, we'll go to the root of the meshes part of the avatar. Let me clean up a little bit. I've got windows everywhere. Oh, it's right there. I don't need another inspector. It's right there. So we'll grab meshes here. Pull it to the right, and we'll chuck it up here. And then we just go meshes. So that now should bake them. I'm now at the point where I need to test it. I'm actually realizing that there's a way to test it that isn't as drastic as this, which is we're going to clear this reference here. I'm going to leave that one there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the avatar. I'm going to walk it over here. When you duplicate something, the one that you're holding is the original. Just remember that. So he's going to need to go back there. Go back down to 1. So I'm going to duplicate it and then immediately drop. And try and pick up the second one here. That's the first one. There's the second one. Okay, so this has none of the Logix references on it. So now I'm going to inspect this one. I'm going to close that one. The reason I'm being paranoid is I accidentally did this once, and I had to completely re-import the avatar. Hooking it back up to all of this system is, I don't know, like 3 hours worth of work. I don't want to do that. So meshes, grab a reference. Look it over to here. It's satisfying seeing that go all the way over there, not to that one. Then I'm going to go down here, turn on the checkbox. That'll say true, the big dangerous true, and we're going to hit finalize. I'm also going to inspect this one and double check that it's not applying to that one. So root node, centered node. Okay, so now we open up the meshes and then we just pray it doesn't touch that one. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and checkbox is on, push the finalize button. It will lag for a second because it's doing some optimizations, and then you'll see we're baked. Underneath the bake slot, there is a single. Looks like it couldn't bake this one, or maybe. Oh no, it puts the components in this this property here. The blinking still work? Hell yeah, it's kind of creepy, but the blinking still works. So now this is one baked mesh. You'll see all the materials are on here. The static material here will only show one, and that's because it's using something called submeshes. I'm not sure how they work. I'm not familiar with the Frix's engine to comment on that, but I know that it's one mesh. So this will now save correctly. So everything's good. I just need to plug in the actual one. Pack the Logix, turn that checkbox on by default, save the world, and then the finalize button will automatically optimize the avatar. We did some testing earlier on this world, on this model in particular, and Frux was basically baking it a bunch of times with different configurations and having different people bake it, like myself and I think one other person. And when we did that, Neos's asset system will deduplicate it based on the configuration. So say you had a big meetup of people who use the Yeen avatars, Yeens, it would only have to download to your computer once this particular configuration. So for everyone that's wearing the this is just meshes, materials that would have to download, but only the meshes would be left out. So for everyone that was wearing the hood, the scarf, the shirt, and the shorts, it would just download that material, that mesh once, and it wouldn't download it multiple times. That should be a huge performance increase. Also on the caching front, once you've seen a Yeen with the hood and the scarf and the top and the bottom in this exact configuration here, it will be cached, and then you wouldn't have to download it again when you go between worlds. I'm not sure entirely on how long the cache lasts, but it means at least whilst the cache lasts, you'll load in quite fast to all the Yeens. I'm gonna put this offer out, which is I will bake all the Yeens that are out in the world that use this world. I will bake your meshes for you. Just come find me in game and I'll bake them for you. To bake them manually, I'm just gonna duplicate again. This is in Frix's tutorial, but I might as well show you here too. We're gonna duplicate, put to the left, grab the duplicate. I like how it looks like it's dancing when I do that. It's the hand position. We're gonna deselect everything here. So for you to bake as a non-Logix user, you basically go to the meshes and then you find the glue tool. That's in Essential Tools, and it is a silver tip with a dark silver base. It looks like this. Open up the hand menu, scroll to the end where it says mode, change to bake skin meshes. This will turn pink so you know what's going on. You grab the meshes and then you just go secondary click, lag hitch, and then exactly the same things happen. So all that setup does is it does it for Logix. Now I'm going to delete both these Yeens as they're blinking, but vacant, so that's a bit creepy. And I will pack this Logix up, I will deal with the scary checkbox, and then this world will automatically optimize your avatar when you push that button. I'd love to get it so that it optimizes it before save for people who forget to use the button, but one of the things I was going to do is make it so you have to push the button to get the avatar. Like, we will make it not equipable from this state, so you have to push the button to like wear it. That will also allow multiple avatars to be set up from this world at once. So if you need to make an army of Yeens, you can come in here and just keep pushing this button, and what it will do is it will copy this avatar here, bake it, and then spawn it next to it or equip it on you, so you can just keep farming them out if you need different configurations. Hope it helps seeing my thought process. This is a simple feature. Frix did a great job making this easy to use. Although I'm not entirely sure what destroy original means. Maybe there's a backup somewhere. There should also be an undo step. So if I do undo grab, there we go, undo bake meshes, and so that will undo the baking of that second one. So it's undoable as well. See you next time.